I'm definitely the type to go into things with as much preparation and planning as possible. So when we were going on our first cruise, I watched all the tips and tricks and hacks videos. I did all the planning. I saw all the pins for all the essential must-have items for your first cruise. And now that I have a couple of cruises under my belt, I definitely agree with a bunch of them, and there are definitely some that I don't agree with. So these are my top essential cruise items. I've already posted a bunch of cruise planning videos, so I will link those in the description below, but I still have some to come, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell down below and you'll get a notification when I upload more of my cruise videos. I went on a bunch of cruises with my family when I was a kid, but that was like when I was 11, so it's been a while and I knew that things had changed. So going into our first cruise, we did a whole lot of prep. And between YouTube and Pinterest, I was feeling pretty prepared going into our first cruise. Judging by most of those top 10 lists and YouTube hack videos, you think you're going to be squeezed into some tiny, dark little cell with no space, and you're going to be falling on top of each other. But we haven't really found that to be the case. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely smaller than your typical hotel room, so you do have to be a little bit cautious about what you bring. But I feel like most of our research sort of over-exaggerated the problem a little. So I bought a shoe organizer and extra hangers and zip ties and all these things that all the lists repeated over and over and over again, and didn't use a lot of them on our first cruise, didn't even take them on the last one, and really wasn't missing having them. And because there is a slight limit on space in the cabins, I just look at a lot of those essentials as taking up space in my luggage that I could use for extra souvenirs. My first essential is something to decorate your stateroom door with. If you're talking a long cruise ship hallway with tons and tons of tiny, identical doors with little to no real visual landmarks, it can be kind of hard to find your room when you're tired and it's been a long day, so having a quick, easy visual reminder on your door like, hey, here's your cabin, I found that pretty helpful. So I bought some magnetic sheets that were sticky on the other side, did a quick painting of my husband and I in a sort of a tropical setting. It's just kind of fun, simple, nothing crazy, didn't take me long, but now it's really obvious when we get to our stateroom, here it is. So if you were out at the late show, you were out in the sun all day, and you're tired and you're not at your best, quick, easy reminder, here you are without having to count each door number as you go by. As with many of the surfaces in a cruise ship, the doors are usually magnetic, so anything magnetic will work. It doesn't have to be anything personalized like mine, just a regular magnet off of your own fridge at home or something. Just anything that is going to be quick and easily identifiable will really help. Next are these little magnetic clips. I got a sheet, I think there were like 6 or 8 of these at Walmart for really cheap. They were just on a random end cap and I just saw them on a whim and thought, hey, those will be pretty handy. They're reasonably strong magnets. They have a reasonable amount of grip. They'll hold a good bit of things. And again, the magnet is going to stick pretty much to any flat surface in your cabin, so that's going to be very handy. Usually as soon as you get to your cabin, there's already some important papers lying around, like perhaps your excursion tickets for any of those that you've already booked. We like to separate those out by day in order, and each of those gets a clip. My next item is similar but equally crucial to me, and that are these tiny magnetic hooks. I got a whole pouch of them, again, pretty cheap. They're reasonably strong magnets. They don't hold a ton, but they will hold up, say, one of our sun hats or a lanyard, little things like that that you're going to be grabbing on a regular basis on the cruise, so very convenient. I even used one of these to hang my evening bag up in the back of our closet, so it was definitely out of the way when I wasn't using it. And my next item is a pair of water shoes. You never really know what the beaches are going to be like that you're on, or even some of the excursions. If you're doing like a hike towards a waterfall or something, some of those beaches and shores and excursions can have not so comfortable surfaces you're going to be walking on. Some of the beaches can be downright rocky, or there's a lot of coral and things to walk on. We find having a water shoe with a decent, reasonable sole, one that's not really just a sock, is very comfortable. Still pretty lightweight, so you're not going to be slogging around in a big soggy pair of tennis shoes, say, and they're a little more secure than, say, a flip-flop. So these are really nice. They're even great for like snorkeling excursions, that sort of thing. We found these very convenient, and even if you're just going to be hanging out and walking on a regular beach all day, you're not doing anything too active. Again, some of those beaches are pretty rocky, and these are a lot more comfortable. My next essential is a very versatile power strip. There are not usually a lot of plugs and outlets in your stateroom. On our last trip, there was the one in the bathroom, which is arguably not very handy for things like your cell phone. And then in our actual cabin, there were only 2 outlets. So 2 plugs for 2 people for a week is not a lot. Between our cell phones, our sort of chargeable watches, all of my camera equipment, those 2 outlets would have been fought after the whole trip if it wasn't for this power strip. I pretty much always travel with the same power strip, but it's particularly nice on cruises because it turns 1 outlet into 3, plus it has 3 USB ports on it, and everything's fairly spread out, so that's very convenient and really great use of real estate. It's also really nice because any excess cord wraps around the base, so you're not going to be junking up what little bit of room you do have with a cord that's all over the place, but a reasonable amount of cord does come on this one, so it can go out and stretch out as you need it to, but then roll up anything that you don't. And because I am an overpacker and we always fly into cruises, my next item is a luggage scale. You can find these all over the place for reasonable prices, and they are essential for me because there is nothing worse than showing up at the airport and finding out that one of your bags is overweight. Then you have to open up all of your bags right there in the crowded airport, shuffle items around, trying to get them to appropriate weights. It's much easier before you leave the cruise ship to make sure that all of your bags are underweight. Because space on a cruise ship is at a premium, if you're anything like me, then you have squeezed as much as possible into as few and small bags as possible, which means that some of your stuff is going to be wrinkly by the time you get to the ship. But you're not allowed to pack an iron, and there won't be one in your cabin, and using the one in the ship's laundry is maybe not super convenient, so I always pack the Downy wrinkle releaser. You can buy the little travel size ones, you can also buy the large ones. So I usually keep a bottle of the travel size, and I have this one at home that I use at home if necessary, and then to refill my little travel size. Amazing product. It won't get out super duper deep wrinkles, but it will get any of those light ones. So if you're careful with your packing, even if you're doing it nice and tight and small, if you're nice and gentle about how you roll and fold everything, this will be a godsend. It will be amazing. And next I have towel clips. I admit I used to think these were kind of silly. I would see people at pools and whatnot on vacations with them, and I was like, really? I feel like that's a little overboard. That's just taking up space in your bag. But now I definitely think otherwise. First of all, on the islands of a beach or out on a moving cruise ship, there's a lot more breeze than you're used to typically poolside. So these do definitely have the practical purpose of holding your towel onto your chair so you're not trying to hunt down the one that just blew away. But they're also very handy for being able to look at a sea of matching pool loungers and furniture and quickly spot your chairs, because everybody on a cruise ship has the same towels and all the chairs are identical and they're usually squeezed in pretty tightly. And next for me is my lanyard clip. Of course, this came with a whole lanyard. I personally pretty much never use the neck strap. I almost only ever use the clip part here, and that's partly because I get very annoyed by the lanyard being around my neck and flopping around all over the place, especially if it doesn't match all my outfits because I'm weird like that, but mostly I just find it a lot easier to be able to clip this little part to somewhere on any outfit. I feel like it's a little less obtrusive and it's not bothering me as much, but especially because it is retractable, I find that very convenient. If my hands are full of things while we're reboarding the ship, or you're trying to go through security to get back on the ship and you're having to move things around very quickly, I find this super nice. I keep it clipped somewhere very convenient, like my neckline or my waistline or something, and then as we get to the ship, I can just grab it, scan it, let go, and then throw all my bags or whatever onto the metal detector, and I'm through security much quicker. I'm not tying up any lines. It's nice and convenient. I feel like it's very secure that way, and it's not bothering me by flopping around all over the place around my neck. And finally, my own snorkel gear. On our first cruise, we went on a snorkeling excursion in Bonaire, and we fell in love. We thought it was absolutely amazing. We had an absolute blast. It was fantastic, and we knew we'd want to go snorkeling again. So when we were planning this latest cruise, we booked 2 official snorkeling excursions, and we knew that we would be able to do some snorkeling on Princess Cruises' private beach. So with all of that snorkeling coming up, we decided to go ahead and invest in our own snorkel gear. There were a lot of benefits to having our own gear. First of all, we were able to snorkel at the private beach without having to pay to rent anything or wait in any lines for any of that. We already had it. We could do that whenever we wanted for as long as we wanted without feeling like, well, we've put this money into it, we better get our money's worth, or feeling rushed to return anything. It was much more convenient to have our own. And depending on the quality of gear that you buy and how much the various places are charging to rent, if you're going to do that just a few times, you very well may cover the cost of your equipment. At first, we just ordered masks, and we definitely wanted to go with the full face masks. We'd seen several people using them on our first cruise, we'd even talked to some of them, and we just knew that seemed like a much better way to go. This one's also very nice because the actual snorkel comes down and it folds up a lot smaller and doesn't take up as much space in between cruises when you're storing it. But then it slides on really easy when you're out there ready to go, and it's very, very convenient and quick. And once we got the masks and we were super excited about those, we figured go big or go home, and we went ahead and ordered our own vests. Now, of course, all the excursions will supply all these, and originally we had been planning to bring our own masks, but use the supplied flippers and vests. But we decided to go ahead and get our own because the ones that come typically with the booked excursions have one strap that goes down between your legs, and I just found that very uncomfortable. It rode up a lot. It was really hard to get that adjusted to the right length, whereas this one has 2 straps that go down onto either leg and around each thigh. I thought that that held the vest down in place a whole lot better. It was a lot more comfortable, and it was a lot easier to adjust on the fly and get that comfortable. And then once I had it where I wanted it, it was definitely easy to keep it there, and it would be definitely corrected for the next time I put the vest on. Of course, there are definitely other things that I will take on every cruise, but these are things that no matter what, no matter how tight we are trying to be on packing and how little stuff we try to take on a cruise, these are things I definitely will always take. There are, of course, some other sort of unspoken things like sunblock that obviously you're going to want in the Caribbean, but I think that these things will definitely be going on every cruise that we take in the future. What are your cruise essentials? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.